Hi, Mark Donovan here, and today I'm going to go over the topic of loss of communications during IFR flight. The FAA has some specific prescribed rules on how to deal with the loss of communications during IFR flight. We're going to go over those today, including what altitude you should fly, what route you should fly, and what you should do when you get to clearance limits. We're going to go over all those things today, but before we do, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to this channel so you get notified when I come out with my next video. All right, let's get into it. Loss of comms during IFR flight. So loss of comms while flying IFR in IMC, or instrument meteorological conditions. Per 14 CFR 91.185, if loss of comms occur while in IFR flight and in IMC conditions, you can continue your flight, but you've got to squawk 7600 immediately. ATC will also assume that you're continuing your flight and will continue to clear airspace for you accordingly. The three elements of navigation that you need to consider when a loss of comms occurs are the route of flight, the altitude to fly, and leaving the clearance limit in order to shoot an instrument approach procedure. First of all, loss of comms while flying IFR and IMC and the route of flight. So the route of flight you should fly in order of priority is first, fly the assigned route per last clearance from ATC. If being vectored, fly the direct route from the point of loss of comms to the fixed route or airway specified in ATC's vector clearance. Then, fly the expected route per last clearance ATC advised. And then lastly, fly the route filed in your flight plan. Loss of comms while flying IFR and IMC regarding the altitude to fly. So altitude, fly the highest of these three altitudes for the segment of flight you're on. The assigned altitude that you received in your last clearance from ATC, the expected altitude, that ATC had advised you to expect, or the MEA, minimum en route altitude for the segment you are on, as specified on the en route chart. So you're going to fly the highest of any one of these three for the particular segment flight that you're currently on. So unlike the routes, there's an order priority. Here the priority is you fly the highest of altitudes along the segment of flight that you're on. All right, loss of comms associated with clearance limits. In this case, it's going to be a clearance limit fix associated with an initial approach fix for an instrument approach. When the clearance limit is a fix from which an approach can begin, commence descent or descend and approach as close as possible to the estimated further clearance time if one was provided, or if none has been received, as close as possible to the estimated time of arrival as calculated in your flight plan that you filed, or that was amended with ATC's understanding for the estimated time and route. Loss of comms clearance limit, which is not associated with an initial approach fix associated with the instrument approach procedure. So when the clearance limit is not a fix from which an approach begins, leave the clearance limit at the estimated further clearance time if one has been received, or if none's received. Upon arrival over the clearance limit, proceed to the fix from which the initial approach procedure begins. And commence descent or descend and approach as close as possible to the estimated time of arrival as calculated from the filed flight plan or amended with ATC understanding for the estimated time and route. Loss of comms when flying IFR in VFR conditions. So per, again, 14 CFR 91.185, if the loss of comm failure occurs while in VFR conditions or if VFR conditions are encountered after the failure, each pilot shall continue the flight under VFR and land as soon as practical. Thus, if you are in VMC or visual meteorological conditions or encounter VMC after lost comms, again, squawk the 7600 and proceed to land as soon as practical under VFR conditions. You should plan to land at the first airport that works for you from a safety perspective and that makes logical sense. Be it a towered airport or non-towered airport, choose the safest choice and land. If loss of comms occurs while in the traffic pattern. If you lose comms while in the traffic pattern at a towered airport, squawk 7600 and look for a steady green light signal from the tower indicating you are cleared to land. If no light signal is provided by the tower on your first lap in the pattern and approach to land, then if fuel permits, do a go-around. If again, no light signal is provided on the second approach to land, go ahead and land the aircraft. Lastly, loss of comms and just some common sense steps to take when this situation occurs. So if you have a loss of comms while flying under an IFR flight plan, there are a number of common sense steps that you can take to improve your chances of a positive outcome for your flight. First, again, make sure you squawk 7600 immediately. Check the radio volume and the squelch button. I've often accidentally turned my radio volume down as I'm trying to talk with a student or somebody else in the plane and forget to turn it back up. Check to make sure the mic and headphone jack are plugged in. Make sure the mic is not stuck on. See if the TX or transmit annunciation light is just burning on constantly. Check the audio panel to see if you inadvertently pushed the wrong button. Sometimes you could have switched to COM 1 versus COM 2, etc., and not be transmitting anymore. Try the last known frequency you were on. Possibly inadvertently typed in the wrong number when ATC told you to switch to a different center or approach or departure frequency. Try contacting guard on 121.5 megahertz or another ATC facility. Lastly, listen for ATC over VOR frequencies using your nav radio, as ATC may try to reach out to you over your nav radio to provide instructions to you. So those are the requirements and the steps that you should take when you lose communications in IFR flight. Hopefully you found this video helpful, and if you did, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so you get notified when I come out with my next video.